All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of the KickCast. As you can see, Drew's not here with me. He's somewhere in this 3D printing village at the 2014 International Consumer Electronics Show. This is why we didn't have a live show, but we decided to go find some crowdfunding projects for you. This is only a tiny fraction of the show, but we decided to find you some really cool crowdfunding projects that have either already funded or are on the process funding and telling you what's cool and what's not. Hope you guys enjoy. We even have a band that's using 3D printed instruments going on. So here's what we'll find. So let's go. All right, guys, we are back here at CES on the show floor, and we're at the Decibels booth with Kyle here. And Kyle actually sent us a message on our Facebook page, facebook.com/KickCast, saying, hey, check out my product. And when I saw it, I was like, mind blown. I've been looking for this forever. So tell people at home what Decibels is.
What Decibels are is they're actually an affordable custom molded earphone system. So we employ a thermoplastic mold that stays molten at room temperature that you heat up in the microwave. You actually heat it up in a cup of water, boiling water in the microwave. And the thermoplastic stays molten at room temperature. So what that allows you to do is snap on an earphone, put it in your ear, mold it till you get a perfect fitting earphone that will never hurt and stays comfortable.
So for people at home, kind of explain to them, what is the benefit of having a molded earphone?
There's tons of benefits. You know, the main one for me is the fit, that they don't fall out. I'm a really active person. I'm a professional gymnastics coach. So there's never been an earphone that can stay in while I'm bouncing trampoline or, you know, doing the stuff I was doing. So that's the big benefit. But comfort is also another one, since ears are incredibly diverse. They actually say that the ears are unique as your fingerprints. So to make an earphone one size fits all, kind of like the major people do, it's a big mistake. And the only way to get an earphone to really fit and really be comfortable is to custom mold it. And where we really stand out is we can do that custom molding for a fraction of the price.
So So you started off this as a Kickstarter project. What kind of drove you to go do a Kickstarter project?
Well, it's interesting, and I tried doing Kickstarter a year ago, and I got rejected multiple times, and and I actually got really angry, and I was like, I really thought Kickstarter would be the avenue, and I kind of just pushed it off to the side, said, okay, we'll do something else. And so I started puttering along, and I kept pushing, using my own income and finding. And then finally, I was reading, and Kickstarter updated their policies a little bit. I was like, I'll try Kickstarter again. And really, with Kickstarter, it's a great medium to show this type of a product, and get it out in front of the people that would be, the Kickstarter audience is the audience that would like Decibels, kind of this do-it-yourself, cool, hacky project. And so that's what drew me to it.
And what did you learn from going through this whole process right here that you want to pass on to other people?
Through Kickstarter, and these are, I have a couple good lessons and that I've learned. And so for anyone thinking about doing a Kickstarter project, it's a great avenue, but it's very expensive. Mm-hmm. What people don't realize is, the Kickstarter's percentages, as well as you want to have a professional video so it looks good, you have credibility, and all those costs added up actually was a surprise to me at how expensive it was to do a Kickstarter project.
Thanks for the awesome video too, because that's one thing that I always tell people, like, you gotta get a good video.
Yeah, you have to, and we actually did that in the guys that came out and did it in a matter of 3 days. We did the first day, we shot it all in one day, and if you actually watch the video, you can see the early shots. It's light, and it gets darker and darker in the background as we're shooting it. So they edited it together, and those guys did a great job. But a professional video is incredibly important.
So I know you guys exceeded your goal. So how much were you looking for, and how much did you end up raising?
So we're looking for $40,000, and we ended up getting $120K.
So that's awesome right there, being able to see it. Have you been getting a lot of good feedback from people who've backed the project and everything?
We have, and one of the great parts about Kickstarter is the community you get to build. Like, these people bought into the product from the beginning. They're very passionate followers, and they're also really active. I'd say a good percentage of them. So they're a good sounding board for advice on tweaks to your product or things they want, and they're invested. Mm-hmm. And it's been really, really great having that sense of community and having people basically believe in your project and willing to put their own time and energy and money to support what you're doing. Yeah.
So how did you actually develop your stretch goals? Because I know you started pushing out stretch goals along the way. Yeah,
and stretch goals were kind of a last minute thing. We hadn't, if I would have done things differently, I would plan out the stretch goals, but we weren't planning on going 120K. We were really thinking about floating around, 40, 45, so stretch goals weren't really an option. Yeah. And as we started to gain momentum, like, oh crap, you know, this is a cool thing, and we're getting more money, so let's do what we can to reward our backers and stretch. You know, so that was so coming up with the stretch goals was a combination. We used our backers as a soundboard, and we kind of said, what do you guys think? What would you like? And so we took some of their suggestions, and that actually became a lot of our stretch goals.
That's way cool right there. So do you have any more advice for people at home thinking of starting their own project?
A couple of big things. One, a lot of people, and when I started Kickstarter, I thought, you know, it's a great idea. I'm going to do it right now. Plan months in advance. When you get the Kickstarter bug, wait 6 months. Have your date 6 months out of it. The other thing is make sure you get approved before you spend money in your branding and your video. So get pre-approved. So do a phone video and your basic text in your project, and then submit that. And then once you get approved, then spend the money on a high quality video, because I've heard of other projects, and I don't know if you've heard the same thing, of people putting all this money into a video and then Kickstarter won't approve it for whatever reason. So that was one thing I did differently. I was really happy with the way it worked out. Is I just did a phone video, set it up, you know, videotaped myself, did a general outline, and then once it was approved, I went and really attacked it, and I created the graphics, and we got the video paid for, and did that. I think that's the one big thing. And then two, you know, do your research. And plan on, you know, the Kickstarter takes a percentage, make sure you factor that in. Shipping is a percentage, factor that in. Backer kit, I don't know if you're familiar with, you know, that they take a percentage and a fee, and so you got to factor all that stuff in, and it's really easy to overlook those things. So those percentages add up, and Kickstarter to do well, it can be very expensive. But if you plan on it, you can really succeed.
That's pretty sweet. All right, so if people are interested in finding more about Decibels, where should they go?
I'll go straight to the source, www.decibels, that's DECIBULLZ.com, and that's straight to me.
What's the price point you're looking at right now?
So our new earphones, the one we launched in Kickstarter, our early bird was only $29. We're going to sell them in March for $49. So the Kickstarter guys got a really good break on that, and I was so pleased to be able to offer them a little bit of a break on our price.
All right, Kyle. Thanks for taking some time to talk to us, because we all know this show is busy. People are always coming by. Congratulations on making your funding goal, and congratulations on getting being an honoree for a CES award too. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
And actually, we also just took the what is this? It's the Editor's Choice Best of CES Award yesterday. So we're really stoked and really excited. It's all thanks to Kickstarter. So
sweet, thanks, and appreciate it again. And more from CES after this.
Tell me a little bit about what you did before you launched that Indiegogo campaign.
You mean me personally, like jobs I've done?
Yeah,
or?
like like how far had you gone to kind of get the buzz going?
Well, originally we started this. We were actually working on a printer at the beginning, and we'd gone to a lot of maker spaces to kind of figure out what people needed in a 3D printer, because we were trying to make one that would be a little bit better and a little bit easier to use. The main thing that we ended up finding was that people didn't need another 3D printer. They'd already bought them and they didn't know how to use them. What they needed was a solution to use the 3D printer that they just bought. So about a year into developing a 3D printer, we just scrapped it completely, and we started from scratch after a little bit of arguing, and started developing a 3D scanner. We actually got it built and designed for our first revision pretty much in a weekend. It was super simple. It was like a webcam and a laser pointer with a dot. And it was running under Adobe Flash as the software with some Python scripts so we could talk to the Arduino. But it worked. It was enough that we could get like a very basic point cloud. And from there, we just started 3D printing more and more parts and designing the thing. And then we eventually switched to a laser line.
So at what point there did you say this is going to be a crowdfunding project?
Well, we had to first make sure that the thing would work, and pretty much after we had it working, we knew that we would go crowdfunding because we wanted one. They didn't exist at that point. You could get a $5,000 one or $50,000 one, but there's no way that you could go off and spend like $400 or $600 and get a 3D scanner. There was solutions out there like David Laser Scanner where you could build it yourself, and I'd actually tried that a couple of years ago. And it's not complex, but at the end of the day, I just ended up being too distracted with other projects to actually go through all the hassle and effort of doing it. And we thought, well, we could come up with a solution that costs less than anything else and just worked right out of the box, which is ultimately what we've done.
So then when you hit launch, did you have press releases go out before the Indiegogo? I mean, how did you let people know it was on Indiegogo?
Yeah, I mean, we had Drew and I had worked in advertising, so we knew a little bit about advertising. I mean, that was our background, but We didn't really know how to do press releases or PR. We made some mistakes. We basically just went onto our social media, Twitter, Facebook, asked all our friends to kind of spread our cause, and we were originally asking for about $81,000. That's what we needed in order to kind of hand make these in resin and rubber molds, and we had that in about 2.5 days. And then at the end of the 35-day campaign, we had about $470,000.
So how did that change things for you?
So exceeding our funding goal changed things in a lot of ways, because we were originally trying to do rubber molds and kind of do this all on our own, hand cast them. But that was when we were going to do 200 units. When you do 1,000 or 2,000 units, you just can't be hand casting resin yourself. So we had to scale up into real industrial production and do giant metal molds, which cost about $100,000 just for the molds, never mind the plastic that come out of it. So that meant we had to go back to the drawing board and actually kind of redesign all the plastics. So we were actually really far along in the production process, but then almost had to restart.
Wow, that's surprising. Where are you at now, a year later?
Almost a year later, we are finally shipping. Again, we wanted to actually be shipping in about September, but almost all of our backers have been really supportive of the growth changes that we've gone through and the delays. Obviously, there's some people that are a little miffed at the delays, but we do refunds if we have to, and most people are like, just make it great, and we're happy and we're excited to be taking the ride with you, which is awesome. It's great for us.
Anything that you tell people that are trying their own projects in like a short snippet?
Just be honest with people. That's the thing that has worked the best for us. When you fail, be open about it. Tell people where you've messed up, and talk to them like how you would want to be talked to. We worked in advertising, so we were used to having to kind of lie to people or misuse specs. No one wants that, right? People are tired of having this like weird corporate voice talk to them. We always talk to people like they're our friends, and we're at the bar.
All right, guys, we are here back at CES 2014, and we are here with Mike with 9450. And if that sounds familiar, it's because we featured this as one of our featured products back in earlier episodes of KickCast. So, Mike, for people at home, kind of remind them what 9450 is.
So 9450 is the world's smartest sports product. It's the smart sensor basketball. It's got 9 sensors in the middle of it, Bluetooth enabled, speaks to a smartphone, and it's designed to be a digital coach so that this, in effect, becomes one of your most valued player development tools. Whether you're in a family or you're playing at a high level, it can measure things that the human eye can't see and helps you get better faster.
So you actually initially, the reason we found out about it was a crowdfunding project.
Yep.
Why did you guys decide to go the crowdfunding route?
Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, it's just a great way to get publicity out there. The PR around it is usually pretty strong, and you can get an awareness into the market that there's something new because of just how many people will watch those projects. And it's a great example. It's how Apple found us for our distribution, as they saw that Kickstarter project. So that was the number one goal. And then the second thing, obviously, you want to raise a little money when you do it. You don't want to do it all for free.
Yeah, of course.
Those are the two main drivers.
Yeah. And then I forgot how much you raised, but you exceeded your goal, right?
Yeah, we did. We passed our goal. It was a grind, just like all those things are. They're pretty intense, and you got to work at it. It doesn't just happen for free. The pebbles of the world are, harder and harder to come by. So we did pass it. We were happy with it. And then again, it was the PR and the press that we got out of it. And then the awareness, this is general market awareness, was a huge success for us.
Do you have any tips for anybody who's considering starting their own crowdfunding project?
Boy, just be prepared mentally for what you're getting into. The first few days are fun, but those last 27, 28 days when you got to really work at it, it's a really, I wasn't prepared for it. None of us were. Mm-hmm. But spend the time and put together a good video, tell your story, and then have a good product. You got to put something out there that people can really resonate with. Those are the things that were successful for us.
Yeah. Do you suggest that people should consider starting their projects earlier in the development cycle or later in the development cycle?
Well, that's a tough one because there's such a broad range of products and things that go into that. I really don't know if there's a good answer for that. For us, it worked that we were near the point of where we could go to market because we were able to capitalize on the retail and some of the other distribution that came. So for us, our strategy worked. But I don't know if that's the same strategy that all projects would follow.
Okay. So Mike, if people are interested in finding out more about 9450, where should they go?
The best place is 9450.com, and that's the number 9, the number 4, and the word 50 spelled out. And we have a ton of video and other things on there. We've really progressed quite a bit since what we had last March.
So that's pretty sweet. I love seeing how you've grown. And did you guys win a CES award this year?
We did. So we were the only product in all of CES that was a finalist in 3 different categories. We were in gaming and apparatus, health and fitness, and embedded systems. So we did really well, being recognized for the engineering.
Congrats, and Mike, thanks for taking some time to talk to us about it. And I love this idea. Like, I play a lot of basketball myself, so when I saw it, I'm like, this is perfect, the perfect combination.
It'll
of
get you better
together.
faster, no doubt.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, guys, more from CES after this.
Hey everybody, I'm here at the 3 Doodler booth. This is Drew with the KickCast. I have been relieved of my duties over at my booth, and we happen to be right next to one of the coolest booths here at the con. I call it the con, but this is cool. You guys have been hopping busy this entire time.
Yeah, it's been a little bit crazy. I guess good problems to be having.
Yes, especially at this place. But every time I look over here, there's either somebody with a camera, there's somebody just pushing their way in. People with this 3 Doodler. In fact, I believe yesterday you had Martha Stewart in here.
Yes, we did. She was
Martha
right here.
freaking Stewart. It's true. She was right here. She was right here.
Right here.
In fact, I believe one of our guys took a selfie and she got right in the way.
Yes,
Yeah,
she did.
She totally photobombed a selfie. So, well, if you've followed our KickCast, you probably have, or even anything in the crowdfunding arena, you know of the 3 Doodler. This is, I guess you'd probably explain it better than I do. What is it? What does it do? And then we'll backstory into how it came about.
Well, it's a 3D printing pen. What it does basically is draw on plastic. So you insert rods of plastic that you can see here in different colors. You insert it into the pen, it heats it, it cools it as it's coming out of the pen. And
It's cooling as it's coming out
it's
as well.
cooling, so that way you can draw up and it stays basically in place.
Do I dare host and draw? See what we can do. You keep talking. I'm going to make something. I've been wanting to do this for 4 days.
Tomorrow morning.
Oh my goodness!
There you go. So yeah, you can basically draw up. You can draw on paper, peel it off. You can.
I hit the back button and it came out. So
That's a fast. That's slow. If you press both at the same time, it comes back out. So if you don't want to use an entire strand and you want to switch colors, you can do that as well. It also draws on. Well, PLA does draw on clothing. I don't know if you saw Faraz made himself like tattoos.
yeah, if you guys
On
get a
the
chance to grab a shot of the shoulder bits that he's done.
They're kind of cool. You can
Very
draw
cool.
on glass. You can draw on wood. The possibilities are kind of endless. I like to describe it as a 3D printer where you are the software and part of the printer.
You are the software and the printer. That makes sense. I like to hear that you draw in 3D because it is just like drawing with a pen. Got to go a little slower. You can see I'm a little shaky.
Yeah.
Now let's back up into the Kickstarter world. You were aware of the project when it was funding and when it was going. So you were friends with the founder. Tell me at that. I guess how quickly did it take off, and at what point did you guys go, oh, this is going to happen?
It took off within the hour, I think.
Really?
Yeah. So it was kind of crazy.
Okay, so before we go chasing too far down that road, what did you guys do for preemptive? Like, okay, here's what's going to happen. What did you do for that to get the traction before you hit launch?
So that's what's really important, I think, with Kickstarters is the pre-planning, and we planned, or they planned, because I wasn't really involved yet, for 3 months before.
Okay.
They had press releases ready to go. They had contacted press already.
Okay.
They had the prototype. They had made the video. They had gone and looked at all the best practices.
Okay.
They had looked at the 10 most funded or best funded Kickstarters and picked up what was working, what wasn't. It was carefully thought out, and which is probably why it exploded so quickly. What happened, I think, was that a whole bunch of articles hit at 9 in the morning on the same day it launched, and so within an hour it had surpassed its goal, which was really low. We wanted 30,000.
That is pretty low. But what did you end up at?
2.3 million.
Wow. You should see her house and her car and her cat and her cousins. Yeah, right. But that's really interesting. So tell me, video-wise, was that video out and circulated beforehand of that prototype? Like, was that part of it, or was it like a reveal?
It was a reveal.
It was, okay.
Yeah. No, but there's kind of a sweet spot between making something that looks too professional and something that looks too amateur.
Yes.
So it was trying to find that middle ground of a video that showed what the pen could do properly,
without
and
looking
also
so
hit the right,
glossy that this is out of my reach, or this
or
is
that we look like
over.
we're already going because we weren't. Yeah.
Okay. So that's amazing that you guys were able to do that and hit 2.5 million or so. That's wow.
It exploded, and they were swamped with emails and had to keep opening new backing levels.
Yes,
And
I
that's
remember
where
that.
I think part of the planning, I think they did think it would, or they hoped it would work, but nobody thought it would explode that much. And there were like, I think, stories of Dan not sleeping for 35 hours and being woken up in the middle of the night to add backing levels as soon as it would
To actually hit the next level,
Yeah.
to keep extending. And what did you end up in adding those stretch goals? What types of things were added? Do you know?
Well, what we added was, and it was also done, I think, pretty well because I came in afterwards and did the logistics and appreciated it. What they did was have backing levels by month,
Oh, okay.
but they would cap it at like 5,000 most months.
Okay.
And so then they extended it all the way into February. So our last pens are actually shipping early a little bit. They're going to be shipping in the next week or two.
But that's an interesting thought. Even for that stretch goal tier to not just be something else that everybody else gets or some other item that's going to cost more money for everybody, but to say you'll get your set, it'll just come after the guys that got in before you. So
Yeah.
using time as a way to separate tiers, that's brilliant. That's a smart way to go. It should work for quite a few projects actually.
Yeah.
There's so many questions I have.
Yeah.
Like, what about that amount of money when you reach that goal? What type of, I guess, even just calculations went into saying, okay, we've got X number of money, we only needed this much to make it real. How much of that goes into, okay, the company's sitting on a big, pretty pillow of money, and how much goes into, okay, this goes into fulfillment, this goes into maintaining business. You know what I mean? I've never seen Kickstarter something where it's like, oh, we got a big chunk of change, look, a bunch of stuff we sold.
Yeah.
It's more of, we got a project we got to fulfill, and all that money should go into that project.
It definitely went all into the project, and it became, I think, very quickly about, okay, how do we build a company out of this? Because I think at first, what Max wanted was money to do the tooling, so the
Yeah.
30,000,
Oh, right,
to
right.
at least get it out there and ready. And then when he realized that this had a market, clearly, because we had proof of concept with 30,000 almost backers,
Yes.
and then all this money, it was like, okay, how do we now ramp up production, get ready, get a quality product out there, and then make it into retail soon?
And what was that time frame? How long did it take to actually get this out of prototype into what's going to ship?
So they had a working prototype at the Kickstarter, but just one or two, I believe, and that was last February, March.
about,
And
yeah.
we shipped starting in September. So it
So
took,
over the summer, a couple of
Yeah.
6 months less. Wow, that's pretty impressive. And where are they being manufactured at currently?
the pens are manufactured in China. The plastic comes from the US and the UK. So PLA comes from the UK, and ABS, which is most of our plastic right now, comes from the US.
And for those, I guess, yeah. So they ship them to you like this, prepackaged? Actually, you have
Yeah, so most...
this one.
Yeah, exactly. This is the pack of plastic. Most plastic actually comes in spools generally.
Yes, and
For
that's
3D
what's strange.
printers,
3D printers are
and
all
we wanted
spools.
it straight for our pens because optimally it'll flow through.
And I think I wondered that for a long time when I saw the 3 doodlers. Is I have spools of plastic over at White Clouds that we use for our smaller printers.
Yeah.
And I thought, what do you do? Just hook up into a spool and just let it suck in like a glue, But this makes sense.
This makes more sense.
Totally
You
makes
can
sense.
technically use a spool, but it jams a little bit more
Yeah, you got to
easily.
pull it or unwind
And
it.
we really looked at lots of plastic suppliers before settling on the ones we picked because we wanted the optimal quality. We wanted it to really look good when it came out of the pen.
It
Also,
looks
like ensuring
good.
the flow was consistent. So
It looks really
we got pretty
good.
picky.
So since I haven't been able to get over here and make anything yet, I'm gonna have to say goodbye to you guys. If you have any questions about the Kickstarter side of things, I bet you could probably contact the others here on the KickCast, or you guys, I'm sure you'd answer questions about that process, because we have a lot of people that watch that just want to build and make things on their projects, but then question fulfillment, logistics, and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
for sure. They can check out our website, the3doodler.com, or email us at cs@the3doodler.com, and we'll be happy to answer any questions.
that would be very cool. So I'm gonna get back and I'm gonna make me some stuff. So that's it. It's Drew for the KickCast.
All right, guys. That is all we have here at the KickCast. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Drew's already back at his booth running other things. Busy guy on there. Hopefully, I hope you guys enjoyed some of these crowdfunding projects. Not really any projects that are going into production, but we got some good insight from projects that have done stuff. Big thanks for everybody who stopped and let us interview them. I know it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, especially when we don't have it scheduled. So hopefully you guys enjoyed another, this is our second year of doing CES coverage for the KickCast. Make sure you check out our website, kickcast.net, and that will take you to the links to all the projects that we covered. Also, make sure you check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/KickCast, or on Twitter @KickCast. And if you have any comments or anything, kickcast@ktdata.net. So we will see you on our next episode, which I don't remember right now. I'm really tired. Until then, guys, bye-bye.